The weather has been very fallish, and last night it took a definite step towards winterish. I watch the weather and I watch the social media accounts of our local nursery, and they warned of a big frost. I had already prepared to a certain extent for this. I knew it was coming one way or the other. I had purchased frost cloth a few months ago on Amazon, and I started reorganizing my outdoor plants after seeing what happened last year to some of them with all the rain and the snow. So last night, when it was clear it was going to drop to freezing temperatures or below, I was able to do some last minute arranging and cleanup after work, so everything made it. I also did a major tree trim here. I called a company with an arborist in to check after last year's major storms and all the wind. I had a couple dead trees here and some trees that were concerning me. So we walked around, he looked at the trees, he told me which ones he felt would be a problem, and took care of those a few days ago. So let's check everything out. Let's look at the trees. This was a big, huge stick going straight up into the air with no foliage on it or anything. So they said I could have one of two choices. They would knock it down and take it off the property, or just knock it down and leave it in the woods here. So I told them to knock it down and leave it on the woods. And they did. You can see this goes on quite a ways. It was very tall and very alarming. The wood itself looked okay, but I wasn't sure how secure the roots were. So I'm glad they took it down and laid it down in the forest where it's bothering no one. I also had this big tall dead tree, also huge, right off the road, so they cut that down and divided it into 16-inch rounds for wood burning. I don't have a wood burning stove, but I know others who do, so I've just told people, you want some, come and get it. They chipped the branches and left them here, so they will eventually turn into mulch too. The oak tree was sort of hanging over the house and hanging over the water tank and hanging over my car, and I just did not feel comfortable with it. They told me the tree was in great condition, it was very healthy, but they did take off a lot of branches, which kind of helped with the lean, and remove branches that were directly over the house, so that was a great thing. I have one more tree at the bottom of the hill, but they said that was overlooking some power lines, so PG&E could come and cut it down. So I got in touch with some PG&E guys who were driving down the street or up the road here, so they came and looked at it and told me that they gave PG&E the go-ahead to take it down, so that's nice. I didn't cover anything with frost cloth out here. Stuff back here has to really kind of sink or swim, but I did start mulching a few days ago. Whatever was going or gone, I pulled out, and I have a big pile of wood chips which has started to disintegrate over the last year or so. I'll walk you up there. So I would go up there, grab a bucket, come back down and dump it on the existing soil. Also on the plants. I do this every year, either with wood chips or with mulch, just something to cover the bare soil. My squash are still doing well. I got rid of the pumpkin and the butternut after I harvested everything that there was there. This green zucchini has a couple tiny zucchinis going on in there. There's one. There's one more. So I'm just going to leave them and hope for the best for the next week or so. Same with the yellow zucchinis. You probably can't see it. Maybe a little bit down there. There's a couple small ones. Not sure if they're going to make it or not, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Even the yellow pear tomatoes are still pumping it out a little bit. I planted these onions a year ago, and suddenly they're shooting up. So I have no explanation for it, but great. And after planting a bunch of beet seeds in here and not seeing much action, suddenly I'm getting beets coming up. So I did read that they can overwinter, so I'm just going to leave them alone, and I might mulch it a little bit once the leaves get bigger. From the garden, I'm going to start a new one. I don't know if you can see those totes up there. Let's walk up there and look. I think it's going to be a better place both for sun and both for convenience. Here we go. I've started lining them up here. I have a couple of these. These are all pretty much empty. One has some soil in it. This one. which I'm mulching and throwing compost in. And this is one of those thornless, where'd it go? Here it is, one of those thornless blackberries. The rest I've started by putting composting and some mulch in there, and I'm going to keep doing that over the course of the winter like I always do. And by the time spring comes around, I'll have some nice soil. I'll show you where I get my mulch, and you'll see why this is such a better place for the garden, because it's completely flat getting to the mulch, and if I have to drag a wagon or something, it's a lot easier. There's some steps and rocks. I'm going to keep most of my garden down there, like the herbs and the flowers, but the vegetables and things I'm going to move up here. So here's the road. I've had tree work done here over the years, and the fire department comes up and chips all of the debris. So I have them put it here, and I just have a mountain of chips here, and eventually the chips turn into really great compost. They mix with the leaves that are falling and all that stuff, and I just come up here to the road and fill up a bucket and walk it right back down. So with having the new garden here, I'll get more sunlight and just an easier walk. It's just better. I don't have to go down those rocks and that big concrete step and all that stuff. So this will eventually fill up, and it's far enough back that I can get water to it, and it's not so visible from the road. I've also been working on the porch plants. Last year with all the rain and frost, all of these plants over here did fine. So I'm just leaving them alone. Some of these are going to do fine, others are not as the winter progresses. So last night I just threw a sheet over them because it was the first big frost night, and I'm gonna start moving stuff around. Cactuses out here are survivors. They survived snow and rain and atmospheric rivers and storms and came back stronger than ever. I had several shelves of plants here which I've moved inside, and last night, as I say, first frost, I threw a towel over this one, and it's looking a little fragile this morning, so I think I'll be bringing that inside. I consolidated as much as I could here on the shelf after moving other plants inside, and threw frost cloth over the whole mess of them. I'm still going to have to do a little bit more moving and consolidating and double checking if everything that's out here is going to be okay out here. I moved several of the larger ones, and I have another type of plant here called a mother-in-law's tongue, and those don't need a lot of light. And they've been inside before. So I put these all here. They were originally given to me from someone who lives about 60 miles away, who has much milder winters. So I really didn't think they should be outside. I do have some grow lights that I'm going to be using because that corner is fairly dark. I've put some on the windowsill, especially the little ones that need a little bit of, I guess, encouragement to grow. And I have some here that are still rooting. This window gets a lot of sun. The window itself is a mess. It got cracked at one point, and there are spider webs stuck between the screen and the window. As I am planning to do re-siding on the house next year, replacing a lot of the windows is going to be one of my top priorities. In the meanwhile, it's live and let live. If you recall, this room was my pantry room. Pantry's now been moved to the closet in another room, and a lot of the things that were in here have been dispersed. So I put the rest of the plants here, and they hopefully will like it here. It can get a little humid in here when the washer and dryer is on, or if I'm cooking, but I do have windows and a door I can open, and they get a fair amount of light here. It's very pleasant to sit here. I have a chair here, an old metal chair, and during the day we get a lot of sun here on this side of the house. There are quite a few windows here. I love the view of the trees, and there's a lot of light. So it's a pleasant place for the plants, and it's a pleasant place for me to sit. It gets warm very quickly here in the morning. So that's the winter garden tour, the winter outdoor tour. Living out here, there's a lot of maintenance. It's a different sort of maintenance than if you live in a home with a more conventional garden setup, whatever. maintenance needs to be done here too, and trees need to be taken care of, and debris needs to be taken care of, and even though it's a natural landscape, it does need some managing. Hope you're all taking care of yourselves. My understanding is snow is falling in many parts of the United States at this point, and I'm sure all of us are beginning to experience some of this winter weather. Anyway, keep warm, stay safe, and thank you so much for watching.